Right, so I'm going to stop the recording and then I'll restart it, and then we'll just go from there. So 3, 2, 1, stop and restart. All right, great morning, if I can get it out. Great morning, great day, great afternoon, everyone. My name is Ty Cohen, and this is the Monday Morning Meetup, along with my co-host, Caroline Trainer. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we bring you guys the best information as it relates to improving on your personal life, improving on your business life, hopefully improving on your health, your spiritual life, and as many areas as possible. Today, we're going to actually talk about how to properly do an assessment. I call it an assessment of your business and your personal life, and how to kind of recognize the things that you should be doing more, the things that you should be doing less of, and the things that you should actually start doing, right? So when we run these businesses, whether they're small businesses, whether they're large businesses, I think it's super important that we do a regular review. This is something that I do every quarter and then every year as well. And then Caroline and I were talking about it a couple of days ago, and I said, this would be a great topic to bring to the Monday Morning Meetup. So we're going to discuss that. Also, we have the Get It Done Challenge that's coming up very soon. So if you guys are not registered for the Get It Done Challenge, you can go in and get a free ticket by going to tycohen.com/MOC. And I'll post that link in the chat box in just a moment. So tycohen.com/MOC. That's going to get you over to the Get It Done Challenge registration page. Make sure you go in and register now. You can get a free ticket. And then after today's show, at 10 a.m. Eastern, so exactly in 2 hours, just under 2 hours, I'll be doing a show with Nicole Cooper, who is our guest on Wednesday, and we'll be talking about one of the things that I helped her to go from a 6-figure business to a 7-figure business, and that is basically how to run a boring business, which leads to an extraordinary life. So you guys make sure that you join us for that. You can do that by going to NicoleSCooper.com/live, and I'll post that link in just a minute. And again, that will be just in 2 hours from now, 10 a.m. Eastern. So, Caroline, what you got going on? What's our quote for today?
So we're going to talk about an amazing process that I used in business, and I had this reminder of this process from the great Andrea Cadelli, who's in our community, and we use this to run a fast pass training session on the 16th of February, where we explored this more in relation specifically to our publishing businesses. So I'm just checking. I don't think Andrea is on at the moment, but she joined us for some of the last meeting, and it was a great exercise. And it's just a reminder, before I give you the quote, that, have a look at all the stuff that you did before you started publishing, jobs, businesses, whatever, because most people, everyone, in our community is super talented, and most people will have examples of different processes they've used. And one of the things that we speak about quite a lot in the fast pass training that I'm really big on is what is it about us that come into this business or a new business and then forget about all that talent and all those skills and all those processes that we already knew. So, go back and have a look at your, like we were saying the other day, do a resume for yourself, have a look at your past experience, and then you can actually bring some of the things that you used in the past or you learned to this business. So we're going to talk about that in a bit more detail, but I just want to do I guess it's the general success quote first, and it's one of my favorites. I say that every time. All these quotes are my favorites. Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up, by Thomas Edison. So many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. Thomas Edison. And that's just, when I see that quote, I think of people I've spoken to within this business. And I remember doing some coaching with somebody who was sort of, after about 12 months, was making 1,000 revenue per month. and had been weekly publishing. And this person was sort of a little bit disheartened. I mean, 1,000's great if that's additional income, but it wasn't covering her production costs because she was publishing weekly. So she was paying for writers and editors, etc., and a few ads. And the conversation was very much around, you know, don't give up now. When you built this, the list was really big, and this person just continued going, and 2 series later had a series that took that person to over 30,000 a month on that one series, and then everything after that was obviously going to be going towards all those readers that read that series that took her to 30,000 a month. So can you imagine if she'd have just thought, oh, do you know what, I'm just going to change genre, or I'm just going to go off and try this business over here because it's quicker and I've spent all this money. There you go. And the rest is history with that person. So that quote just reminds me of sometimes how close we are to success. And it's so easy sometimes to just stop rather than just continuing with the daily process until you get there, which you will. Because as one of our guests said once, it's either going to work or it's going to work.
It's kind of, that was Mark, right? So I was actually talking to Mark last night. Yeah. I'm actually at the beach right now, so I was talking to him on the way driving down to the beach yesterday. Great guy. So you know what, and what you just shared reminds me of 2 classic stories, right? Acres of Diamonds. You guys are familiar with Acres of Diamonds, I'm pretty sure. And then also 3 Feet from Gold, right? So it both of those stories remind me of an individual that, for whatever reason, have given up. And this is kind of what Nicole and I will be talking about at 10 a.m. You know, it's just, it's the artist, the singer, the Beatles, right? Think of one of your favorite artists or one of your favorite bands, and there was probably 1 or 2 albums that they are well known for, even though they have these other songs. But when they go out and they tour, what songs do the audience want to hear from them? They want to hear the favorites, right? Now, these artists, they know that. So think about what would happen if they went out and they said, well, you know what? Yeah. We made those songs years ago. We've got all of these new songs that we want to play for you guys first. They probably get booed off stage. So it's understanding the importance of sticking to it and making it work and just standing firm. I think a lot of people, what happens is we end up, and everyone's guilty of it because we're simply human. If we weren't human, then we wouldn't be guilty of this. But we're just guilty of jumping around and just losing focus easily, right? So
getting scared or thinking, well, it might work for others, but it doesn't work for me, or getting bored.
Yeah.
Or getting bored.
Yeah. So Caroline, we're gonna actually, you know what? Let's give these guys 2 pieces of homework today. Because one of the homeworks that I want to give you guys is, I was thinking about this as I was just walking on the beach just now. I'm in South Carolina right now. I want to share with you guys.
Now you're bragging.
No, I'm going to share with you guys something that, like it just a short piece of, just a bit of time can change things. So I'm on North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, not Myrtle Beach, but North Myrtle Beach, which is a slightly better area than Myrtle Beach. Not that Myrtle Beach is bad. Literally just a few decades ago, Black folks were not allowed anywhere on this beach. Like literally just a few decades ago.
Well, you mean there's a sign outside or something?
There were signs, I mean, everything. You get arrested, all types of stuff, right?
Oh,
literally just a few decades ago. I remember my mom and dad telling us stories about that because they both grew up in this area, right? This is actually where they met, Myrtle Beach. They grew up 20 miles from here. So they would talk about the stories of all of the things that they couldn't do in this area. And as I'm walking the beach, I'm like, damn, I wish both my mom and dad were alive, because not only am I walking the beach, but I have 2 incredible properties that are on the beach here, right? 2 of the best, and I'm not bragging, I'm showing like what can be done in just a short period of time if you just don't give up. Regardless, it could be laws, it could be the way that people perceive things, it could be how you perceive yourself. So the other piece of homework that I want to give you guys, and we'll talk about the initial homework, is what is something that you used to believe that you no longer do? So I'll elaborate more on that at the end, because I don't want to give too much away. But what's one of the things that you used to believe that you no longer do believe? And I'll give you some examples of some things that I used to believe, and that I now look back and I'm like, man.
Gosh, yeah.
So
Now you dominate the beach.
I mean, it's just
crazy,
now,
isn't
you
it?
know, you're walking around and everyone's like, hey, how are you? And it's just very interesting, right? So but Caroline,
Such a short space of time, Ty.
a short space of time, exactly right. So what do we got here, Caroline?
Yeah. So should we talk about how we want to focus in our businesses, whichever business we're in, our focus on the most profitable activities so that we can optimize our results. So one of the things that we were doing in the Fast Pass training, and Ty and I were talking about, and Ty was saying he sort of does it in a, he just calls it something else. So you're probably all doing this exercise anyway, but one of the, and this will be homework, one of the exercises that we did in the Fast Pass training the other week, and I used to do in my teams, is putting the business or the project, whatever you're talking about. So let's say, for argument's sake, today we're talking about our publishing business as a whole, because you can do this with your personal life, your spiritual life, an individual project. And you've got 3 columns. So in one column, you're going to write down all the things you should start doing that you're not doing, that you've researched or you've heard from people that are doing it and doing well, only from people that are doing it and doing well, not from anyone else, what you're not doing that you need to start doing. And then the next column would be, what do you need to stop doing? And then the next column is, what do you need to continue doing that's working really well, so you just continue doing more and more of it. So the example I gave at the beginning, the person that I was speaking about was doing everything right, and it actually wasn't a case of stopping anything or starting anything. It's just continuing with what was going really, really well. So what are you going to start doing that's going to take your business to the next level? What are you going to stop doing that isn't adding to your top line growth? What sort of things? And what are you going to continue doing that's going to add to the growth of your business and your profit? And one of the things that we were talking about, and this is again relevant for every business, not just publishing, but one of the things we were talking about in the training was how in publishing there are so many different activities that you could be doing. So many, seriously, so many promos, so free, paid, whatever, loads of things, loads of giveaways, which can be very effective, but just loads of activity, and then not giving enough energy, money, time on the things that just the core of the business that works. And one of the common denominators that I found when I've spoken to successful people in Kindle publishing, in the community and out of the community, is when they're on the big figures, they're doing the simple stuff, but they're doing it really, really well. Like, for example, their books are as good or better than the books at the top, and there's a process to achieve that. So if you look at the stop column, you'll probably find, okay, I do that, and actually it's great, so I want to continue doing that, but I'm going to delegate it to somebody. Or it could be, oh, okay, let's analyze those things that I'm thinking of stopping doing. Can I see any lead to profit when I do an analysis? And some of the examples we use are things like our social media posts. I'm not talking about Facebook ads. Social media posts, just posting on your page and your group for your author name, you or your pen name, and how that is still important for engagement and building followers, but you can delegate that. And also you've really got to minimize the time doing that, because it's not as profitable as putting out there a killer ad that is going to convert to sales. So that was essentially what we were doing, and we thought it'd be really great to talk more about that and how we approach that in our businesses. That not necessarily going into the detail of publishing, but I don't know what you have a version of that, Ty, that you do monthly.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about, no, I do it quarterly. So I want to talk about what you just shared, because I think that's fantastic. Like, what do you guys think about that? Like so you have your columns. What are the things that you're going to start doing? Well, let's go the opposite way, right? Because what are the things that you're going to look at that you're currently doing and you say, okay, well, I need to stop doing this because this is not giving me the results that I want, or it may not be giving you any results, or it may not be just a good way of spending your time or your money. So what are your things you're going to stop doing? What are the things that you're going to continue doing? Right. So what are the things that you're going to, and I call it doubling down. What are the things I'm going to double down on? I see some Facebook ads that are working. Now I'm really going hard on these things. I'm going to expand the interest. I'm going to expand the amount that I'm spending on a daily basis. I'm going to expand the visibility. I'm going to go in and test different elements of it. Right. So what are the things that you're going to continue doing? And then what are the things that you're going to start doing? So that's the add-on that I like right there. Right. You like, yeah. And I think the important part there is to start doing one or two things when you do this thing. Like, what's one thing that I could start doing that I'm not doing right now? And just kind of taking a little bit of caution and just playing with it. Right. When I say playing with it, I mean just being very careful and just instead of just going balls to the wall with it and just going nuts with it. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful.
Actually, that way round is interesting because when we did it for the first pass, Andrea was saying she did it the other way around. She did and not that it doesn't really matter as long as you get the results out of the exercise, the start, stop, continue. But I've just remembered when you said that we used to call it the stop, start, continue factor. We just sort of made that. I mean, we didn't make it up. We read it from somewhere. We got it from somewhere. All these things are from somewhere. And when I was in law, we used to just do the exercise around a project and then, overall profitability of the teams and that sort of thing. And we just used to say the stop, start, continue, factor. And it's a great exercise. And then, like I say, you can bring that into your personal life. You can do it in relation to, exercise, eating, all those sorts of things. And it's a great way of stopping and taking that quiet time to figure out, okay, let's have a look at successful people. What are they doing? And they're telling you within the community that we have what they're doing. They're telling you. They're literally handing it on a plate. Now, if you've got the program, you've got everything. If you haven't, you're in the dark. But if you've got the programs, and then you think, okay, well, I'm not doing that, so I'm going to start doing that. But actually, there's some energy and time that goes over there. I can't see any results from that, so I'm going to just pause it or whatever, or delegate it. I mean, it's difficult with some things because if you start TikToking, for example, you need to give that 3 months to really analyze, So some things are not going to be an instant. You're not going to instantly know whether it's leading to profit unless you track. Some things you can't track, as we know. But essentially, it's a really interesting exercise because I did this recently and I've cut down way on what I was doing. And as a result of that, there's movement and there will continue to be movement. And now I know what I need to do. And believe me, it's no secret. It's just the basics of what I was doing in the beginning when I went to 10K. So
hold on, wait, because not to interrupt you, but I think that is super important. Right. So because sometimes when we have success in something, what happens is it becomes so basic or natural to us that we do it on a regular basis. Right. And then we kind of undermine how important it is to someone else to hear that. So you just said, like, when you're at 10K, right, when what got you to 10K it's just really the basics. And it's always that's what, Nicole and I are going to be talking about at 10 o'clock, right? I'm going to be talking about like the basics are the basics are the basics. I remember in IM space, when I would go to all of these seminars and conferences, they're like, hey, Ty, what are you doing? Oh, I'm still doing the same thing, Kindle publishing. And next year, hey, Ty, what are you doing? I'm still doing the same thing, man, Kindle publishing. And every time I would meet these different folks, they're doing something, and I knew it, and it became a chuckle in my head. They're doing something totally different. but they were scrambling to try to find success. And the reason why they were scrambling to try to find success was because they couldn't cope with just doing the monotonous stuff over and over and over and over again. They couldn't cope with being, Paul and Caroline, don't hurt me, because whoever the other famous Beatle is, right? They couldn't cope with singing the same damn songs all the time, every time they went on stage. That's what being in business is about. You find the things that work, and you have to sing the same songs. You have to do the same thing if it's working for you 1,000,000 times over.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what you just talked about. Like the boring, simple things that got you to the 10K are the same things that, hope you're doing well, Jane, are the same things that are going to get you to the 100K a month.
Yeah. And if you feel you can't do it,
going deep. It's not going wide, it's going deep. That's
going deep. It is. And we were talking about this the other day, weren't we? And it's about, okay, sometimes you might feel that if you're developing a publishing business and you're building a pen name, you might feel that pen name has, I don't know whether it's possible for a pen name to peak, but you might feel that to get the 100K, you sensibly might want to just spread your investment a little bit and then just launch some more pen names. But once you've really mastered that, and I say to people, don't move and do a second one, just don't do it until you've got the first one to where you need to get to. And then it's just a repeat, because but you can do it various ways. You can, some people might have like 2 pen names and one's earning 1,000 and one's earning 10,000. It's just a process. But then when you do that, that's the point where you would say, okay, if it's working, just repeat it, rather than, oh, it's so tempting now to go off into steamy romance because that's doing really well, and then you go off. Now you might want to do that anyway, and people have done that, been successful with it, but generally, why would you not repeat what you've spent 6 months, a year, whatever the time frame, 2 years, getting an expert in a particular genre if you enjoy it?
I like to look at it, well said. I like to look at it as we are running just mini versions of billion-dollar companies. Like, we're just running mini versions of billion-dollar companies. And if you look at it, like, you look at, name your favorite car company. It could be Tesla, or maybe you could be anti-Tesla. It could be Ford, right? But Tesla is not, they're going to make cars. They're going to make cars this year, and you can bet 10 years from now, they're going to make cars, right? They might, well, maybe Tesla's not a good example because Elon Musk is a little bit more of a visionary, but let's take like Ford, right? They've been making cars for the last couple of decades. They might also make SUVs and pickups, but they're not going to start making bicycles. And then they're not going to say, the CEO is not going to say next month, oh my God, guys, we should start making beach blankets or towels or whatever it is, right? And then the next month after that, he's not going to change, or even next year, he's not going to come up and say, hey, we should start making laptop computers. But think about that. Like, we do that in our businesses. Like, we say, okay, to your point, you just said, we might be in, Western romance, and then we want to switch over to steamy romance. And then next month we want to go over here. And then next month we want to go over here because we read a Facebook post or we listen to someone, right? So it's just it's working on the self-discipline, because again, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. It's the self-discipline. It's the self-discipline. It's the self-discipline. And that is it.
And it's so tempting. And that's probably, when we were talking about with Nicole the other day on Wednesday about the sort of, if you want to call it toxic, not advertising, but just toxic social media, because then you're thinking, and it's so tempting when you've got different opportunities presented to you, that you just think, okay, I'll just go, and then you just scattered. And I've been there. I sort of still working on that, and you've scattered.
Yep.
Yeah, you're scattered in your energy, which is going to affect, and then you're scattered in your thinking, and you're just all over the place, and then that's reflected in your results. We've all done it. We've all been there, and you can slip back into it because it's a human habit. And of, you know, getting bored and thinking something might be more profitable or easier or quicker. But every business, there's no such thing, as we know. Every business requires that concentrated time. The monk mode that we were talking about the other day, I came off that thinking I need monk mode. I need monk mode this weekend because I need to get a book sorted at the weekend. It needs my energy on it. And that really stuck out to me when Nicole was talking about that. Sometimes it's difficult to adopt full monk mode if you're a parent or you're running a family, or you but you can at least do monk mode for an hour or two a day, or a weekend or a week or whatever, without it affecting other things too much. So yeah, that was really interesting, and I think that is very relevant for what we're talking about with the stop, start, continue process.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So you guys have it all, right? So does everyone get it? So that's going to be the homework right there, right? So just this weekend, kind of looking at what are the things that you need to stop doing because it's just not working for you, right? And kind of use a little bit of caution with it, right? So we're not saying just totally stop doing whatever it is that you're doing right now because you haven't given it enough time, but stop doing things that may not be useful for you. So an example of mine is I used to like going on TMZ.com and reading all of the foolishness on TMZ, right? I'm putting my dirty laundry out there. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what am I getting out of this? Like, this does not make sense, right? So that could be something, right? Whatever it is in your personal life or your business life. I'll give you another example. So we used to run, and this was years ago, we used to run engagement ads, right? To get engagement for some of our books, right? When we're giving away some of our books and things like that. And it just didn't work. I mean, we'd get all of the likes, all of the comments, all of the shares and things like that, but it just didn't like we weren't able to monetize it the right way. So stop doing it, right? It wasn't costly, but it just also wasn't adding to the bottom end, right? So what are the things that you need to stop doing? What are some things that you need to continue doing? So I talked about Facebook ads. I talked about having the same exact writers. So if you have good writers, just sticking with those writers, right? Just keeping those people and keeping them to a point where you're consistently giving them work, right? Within your means. What else? The thing that you should start doing. What's something that you should start doing that you're not doing right now? It could be something that you might see someone else in the community doing. It could be something that you might see in the course that you know you need to do, you just haven't gotten there yet, right? So, hey, let me start applying this. Let me start adding this piece in right there. So that's your homework. The second part of your homework is, as I said earlier, what is something that you used to believe that you no longer do, right? So I'll give you an example. Like that one thing that kind of altered your personal belief system. So for me, it was that, like, I knew that I would do okay, all right, because I would work hard towards it, like putting the hard work. I was never afraid of doing hard work. But I never thought that, like, I would be able to make millions of dollars because of the fact that, listen, it was tough for me school was tough. Like, once I got into high school, elementary school, I was amazing. A pluses and everything, always, getting the awards, but high school was a totally different thing. So I always thought, like, man, like, I have a tough time taking tests. I have a tough time getting anything higher than a C in high school. I'm never going to, I didn't even think about making millions. I also used to think, like, listen, I've got this limited vocabulary, right? That was my thing there. It's never, like, I'm always going to be a 9-to-5 worker. And one of the things that switched for me was, number one, being introduced to personal development. So if you guys do not believe in personal development, self-improvement, I beg you to question that. The other thing was understanding that it doesn't only take hard work, but it takes smart work. And smart work is making sure that you're able to leverage, like, the skills, the expertise, the love of things that other people might have. So outsourcing. Smart work is being open to using software and programs and utilities. And now with AI, like, there's, like, no limits, right? So that was it. So I questioned you as your homework to think about what is something that you used to believe that you no longer do, right? What is something that you used to believe that you no longer do, right? So that limiting belief, and I actually sent this to all of my children this morning. I sent it to a couple of people that I have text masterminds with, and what I basically sent them was, I challenge you to challenge the limiting belief that you currently have about yourself. Whatever you think you can't do, question if it's really true. So I sent this to my son Tyler, my son Devon, my daughter Summer, and my daughter Maya, and then a couple of other people that I just felt inspired to send it to. So I share that with you guys as well. And that is it.
Yeah.
So boom.
And this process, is great because it requires you to take that bit of time in monk mode, doesn't it? It requires you to take an hour out, 2 hours out, whatever it takes, to just really analyze that, the second part of the homework, in terms of what you used to believe that now no longer believe, and then the stop, start, continue in your business. And you might want to do it as an exercise in other parts of your life. But the other thing is, you might have something that you used to believe that isn't serving you, that you actually still believe that you need to work on. And I've got one of those that someone identified with me yesterday when they were talking to me. So there's still these things, these beliefs can sort of crop up when you least expect them to, that you might want to sort of address. So it's just being mindful of that without being paranoid that, whoa, okay, that's why I'm feeling like that, or I'm doing that. I'll sort of share it with you because I don't mind, because I'm sure other people relate to it. But I'm sharing with you all. I'm sharing it with the live.
You can just share it with me if you want, Caroline. Just share it with me. No one will know. I promise you. All right.
It's a good one. It's a good one to share because because we can't even edit because we're live, aren't we, on YouTube? Is this, and I really, really am gonna change this immediately. I think I already have, but that action trumps everything. And I think that if you're feeling a bit like this as well, like there's so much action and overwhelm and everything now, this exercise of stop, start, continue is very good to help with that. But inevitably it's about, okay, what's that all about? And it's just, and I did a process just in bed last night where I journaled it, the things that have happened that are really gonna lead or have led to success, have been not as a result of a lot of action, but they've been as a result of quiet, going inside, using our power inside, and then just taking a little bit of action, and then it leads to something big. And when I look at the big things going on in my life, they've all taken little action, but they've come from those monk mode moments when I've reflected on what my strengths are, what I want, and then thought, oh, I'm going to send that email. That's a good idea. Or I'm going to talk to that person. That's a good idea. So just remember that, because when you get successful, and as you are with your business now, you're going to get so obsessed with the action. And that's why, alignment trumps everything.
100%.
Not action, and action's an important part of it when you get going, but it really does have to be managed, or else you end up being sort of busy 20 hours a day or whatever. And that's so
the other thing that I used to believe, like I used to like,
I do, yeah.
My thought around that, like I used to think that, oh my God, I don't have enough time because I'm doing this and that, right? And then I've got the kids, and then I've got my wife, and like I used to just be, and this is 15 years ago or so, right? The book that helped me to change my thoughts around this is A Happy Pocket Full of Money. And I know you guys are probably tired of hearing me talk about that book, but I am actually listening to it again right now. As I was driving down here, I was listening to it. And then as I was on the beach, I'm listening to it, because this thing has changed my life in so many ways. So I've probably listened to this book about 200 times. Remember, I said to you, you don't need to read 200 books. You find a good book that has had massive impact on your life, and you listen to or you read that book 20 or 30 times, right? There you go.
That's my walking book this week, because I haven't read it for or I haven't listened to the Audible. So I thought I need to do that because of this piece that I've just shared. Because if you it's a bit like if you throw a lot of mud at the wall, it's going to stick. Some of it's going to stick, and you can get in that mode with your business as you get successful. You're like, okay, well, if I've done that and that's made 20k a month, then if I double that action, it's insane. But you can go down. It's sort of addictive. It's a sometimes it's an addiction that can work very well in your favor. But that's why that monk time is so important. So my next book is Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. Yeah, because I need to think more like a monk as well, because I've been in action for 54 years. So
I love that. All right, guys. So that brings us. Oh, go ahead. Did you have something else?
Yeah, no, that's it. I just said it's great.
Yeah, I love all
this access to personal development.
Very cool. All right, guys. So that brings us to the end of today's show. You have both pieces of homework. Can someone put them in the chat box just in case someone did not grab it?
Abigail did a great summary of the stop, start, continue. So I've just added that in. And then also the second piece of homework, I'm pretty much sure I saw that in, or I can type it in there.
Right. So that brings us, while Caroline's doing it, to the end of the show. And as always, we love to hear from you guys. So please go in, let us know what your biggest takeaway from today was. Oftentimes it's going to be simplicity, right? So simplicity in life, simplicity in business will yield you the best results, the most peaceful results. Last but not least, make sure that you join us for Get It Done Challenge. That's coming up soon. I think it's coming up in 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. And you can register at tycohen.com/MOC. Then make sure that you join myself and then Nicole Cooper at 10 a.m. in just about 90 minutes from now, as we'll be talking about. I'm going to be talking about like how running a boring business can lead to an extraordinary life, and how I know that whenever things start, I know that I'm on the wrong path whenever things start to get too complicated. Whenever I can't put it on a napkin, like my plan for world domination, if it can't fit on a napkin, I'm overcomplicating it and it's probably not going to work. So we'll be talking about that at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And I'm going to give you the links for both the Get It Done Challenge as well as the call that I'll be doing at 10 a.m. All right. So there you go.
Is that call a everyone on Zoom call, or is it a listen only call? Or is it a webinar?
Nope, it's actually a Zoom call. So I will. All right, so I'm going to stop the recording and then I'll restart it, and then we'll just. I'm actually listening to myself and listening to you on YouTube there. But if you guys want the direct Zoom link, I'll give you that as well, so you can have the Zoom link. All right, so let me know. You guys can do either one. You can use the link that I'm going to give you here, or you can use the Zoom link. So that's it. Caroline, have a great day. Have an incredible day. I know you've got some beautiful things planned.
Yeah.
For your business today and this weekend.
Yeah. And the second piece of homework, I know that everyone has probably noted it, but I couldn't find it. And I didn't type it in. So it's, what did you used to believe that you now no longer believe? So we'll be doing takeaways on Monday, like we normally do on a Monday. Unmuting you and sharing your thoughts from the exercise at the weekend.
There you go. I am posting both links in the chat box just now. All right, guys, we will see you. Betty Powell, Nancy Weatherford, we'll see you. Michelle Runge, we'll see you. Dr. Tiny, we'll see you. Lloyd George, we'll see you. Chris Bowden, Aaron Collins, Polly G, Brenda's iPhone. Brenda, I wish I could. I'm going to rename my last name iPhone, so it just says Ty's iPhone up there like yours. Claire Wyburn, we'll see you. Megan Bowden, we'll see you. Donna, David, we'll see you guys. Right. Sis Rowan Gilbert, right? Kari Schultz, we'll see you. Robert, we'll see you. Wendy, James. All right, guys, have a good one. Jane Johnson.
Have a great day.
All right, have a good one.